Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome into Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. This week we'll be speaking with members of the Terrebonne Parish Council, 3 of the 9 members. We'll start off with Clayton Voisin out of District 3. Carl Harding is the Vice Chairman and District 2, and John Amity, District 4 and Chairman. So guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We appreciate it. I know you guys are always busy, but people always like to catch up with what's going on and things that are happening in the community. We got a couple of good segments to talk to people. Clayton, let's start with you. CJ, as a lot of people will know you. Let's talk about some of the projects that are happening in District 3, some that are going on now and some that are in progress right now.
So, yeah, Harry, thank you for having us. Some of the projects that's been done already in District 3 since I've been sworn into office, I'll just touch on a few of those.
Sure.
We did some road work, some badly needed road work, and it was a combination of road work and drainage and sewage on Ann Carroll Street. We was able to get that done. The Public Works Department did a wonderful job coordinating that little project there. Maintenance on the reservoirs in my district, there's a couple of them. Grass cutting was a little bad, collected a lot of rodents and reptiles, so they've been working real hard to keep those maintained. Road repairs on Marie Drive have been completed. Real nice little project they were able to get done there as well. Cleaned a couple of spots in Bayou Terrebonne, as a matter of fact. They went in with the machine on the bridge, was able to scoop up a lot of that trash and lilies, but it was horrible with trash. Unbelievable what people are throwing that bayou.
Yeah.
It's really sickening. I wish they'd quit. So we was able to get a few spots really bad cleaned up there. Multiple catch basins and culverts throughout the district. The Public Works just been excellent at just trying to keep up with that. Road repairs on Douglas behind Southland Dodge. Many road panels had to be changed. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 13 panels. Pretty big project. They were able to get that done. It was pretty bad. Some of the issues that we're facing in District 3 and trying to discover solutions to the problems. One of the big ones is Oakshire area, sewage issues. Typically with rain event, people can't flush their toilets, water's not draining. In certain areas of Oakshire, it tends to be, looks like it's focused in like the 300 block, say between Hampton and Tudor. That's kind of where the focus
So
is.
you can't get the flow going.
Yeah, for some reason.
It backs up the other one.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. It's not my expertise. I don't want to speculate as to what it may be, but Public Works is all over it to find the issue and resolve
Get
it.
it rolling. Yeah.
Other issues we have in District 3, lateral ditches is a big deal for maintenance, right? Keeping them clean, keeping the growth down. So as you know, Broadmoor, for example, older subdivision, right? People built fences and put sheds, and they put them right on the ditch line, which cut out the right of way and the access for the parish. So we have no ability to get equipment in there to maintain it. So it takes straight manpower.
Right.
As you know, a lot of our contractors handle that type of work for us. And when you're talking a lot of manpower and a lot of hours,
A lot of money.
very, very expensive
Yeah.
to clean a ditch. So we're looking at ways of solving that issue. And my district not alone in that. Just road repairs, that's what I'm focused on, drainage and sewage. We have so many of the issues for necessities, right? These are necessities. They're not wants, they're not fancy. It's necessities. And that's kind of where my focus is in my district.
Yeah.
Because I feel like those are the things that are guaranteed by us to them. So that's where my focus is.
Sure. Let me ask you all three a question real quick. Pretty new council, right? It hadn't been that long. You guys sworn in for this council. Everybody getting along? Everybody working together and those kind of things? You want to start?
I think so. I haven't had any major issues with anybody. Not even any small issues, to be honest.
And y'all districts all kind of go together too. Carl, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think we got a good mixture of the some experience, a whole lot of experience. I think we become Steve Trusclair, and actually, we along with the administration, we're actually trying to get conducive and look forward and see that we being very, very optimistic about our future.
Yeah, with a new administration coming in, I guess everybody's got to work together and find, your roles, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and anytime you put different personalities together, it takes a moment for everything to gel like it needs to be. But we got a really good council, and I think that we've gelled together pretty quickly. Everybody's been open to each other, and have done their best to work together on certain things. With everything, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, and Carly mentioned Steve Trosclair. Steve and Danny Babin have 8 years of service on the council. Carly and I are 4 years, and then the rest are in their first term. So we help them as much as we can, kind of help them guide. Sometimes they like to do things on their own, and that's good. That's how you learn and you get out there. But I mean, overall, we've got a really good council this time.
So you got 9 districts or whatever, but you got one parish that everybody's got to work together, right?
Absolutely.
That's how it's got to work. So, Carl, let's go into your area. And I think the first thing I want to talk about was the towers. And I know when the storm came, we had a real issue with the towers. A lot of those folks were actually in trailers for a while. We're now, I guess, 3 or 4 years after now. Where are we at with the towers now?
Well, first of all, when you mention Bayou Towers or when you mention Senator Circle, they're both kind of hand in hand, and they're run by the same people. We actually support the individuals at the high rise, which were elderly, physically challenged. We have people that was in Senator Circle. They were kind of underserved, low to moderate incomes. And so when we get into a situation, a lot of formalities in reference to dealing with the federal government.
So that's HUD. That's under HUD.
That's HUD.
Right.
So what we're trying to do now is be patiently waiting to assist them in every way we possibly could. The structure is due to come down. They get some circumstances. They're finalizing some tests. How to, if we are.
We might see an implosion.
Excuse me?
We might see like an implosion.
I
don't know how they would
that
do
was
that.
2 conversations about it because there's some properties around it that we have to be concerned about it. But most importantly, when that happened on the east side of the Central Circle and the high rise, we're looking at the volume of people that are displaced. And some people are displaced to less valuable quality of life. A lot of people that's still out of town. Some passed away. So we're looking at trying to look at that because the impact to some of the establishments that we had there, that's a certain amount of people. Also, it affects the voting. because, when the census came in, now the census came in April, we redistrict later on that year. We had to go on that census. So it helps us to the point that we went to the old numbers,
Right.
where we can get the benefits of those numbers, but in reference to our populace, but it doesn't do anything to actual revenue that is collected. So there are some circumstances that can go further and further because mental health goes along with that too. And perhaps maybe later now or later, we can actually talk about what effects that actually have on the families.
Yeah,
also.
my mother worked at that building for a long time. She was a home health nurse, so she's very familiar with that area. I'd go with her quite a bit. But let's talk about mental health. So that's one of the things that's actually been lacking in our area as to where we take mental health patients a lot of times.
Well, there's people that are out in Bayou Vista, get text messages and things like that. That's outside Terrebonne Parish, but in Terrebonne Parish right now, they're not addressing mental health so much here. And there are so many circumstances. There are elderly people that's affected by the hurricane. We got displacement. We got the opioid crisis. You got an opioid crisis, mother and father, children within that house. Now we got economic development being associated with those kids. They have to go to school. Some of them are malnourished, lack care. So, we have to look at mental health and how the situation and our quality of life as we see it, assume to see it, but then we have to have boots on the ground to see firsthand the problems that we have, because opioids and crime and those things affect the family. I think everybody that's perhaps in Terrebonne Parish has someone that has been affected by opioid use, and then opioid use and mental health, and going to the penal system, then you really got a problem.
Right.
So we have to address those things.
Yeah, you can't arrest your way out of an opioid crisis, right? I mean, that's got to be the whole community working in a number of different ways to make sure that all comes together and works. So let's take a break. We obviously we got a great segment coming up as John Amity. You got some nice pictures to show. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with more Going Public after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Everybody, welcome back to Going Public. Harry McCullough here. We're speaking with Terrebonne Parish Council members, Clayton Voisin, Carl Harding, and John Amity. So, guys, thanks again for being here. Carl, let's wrap up. We were talking about the mental health and just how it all works in a bunch of different ways. You can't rest your way out of those things. You guys have a nice, I guess, unity in the community project that's coming up that's going to deal with police, law enforcement, but also maybe ministry and also community members, right?
Yes. I gave one of these programs 2 years ago. I didn't give it last year because it was a political year. And to come back, and there are a number of fatalities because of crime, gun violence, opioid crisis, dealing with mental health, how to deal with those people in mental health, to get the people within the community to get a chance to talk to the state police, talk to the sheriff. We have the Lafourche Parish DA, representative from Terrebonne Parish DA, city marshals. And these are people that are there to protect and serve. I need the community to come out and say what their problems are and what we need to address. And the police has been saying all along, if you know something, say something so we can have a better quality of life. So on the 23rd, at New Zion Baptist Church over on the Grand Caille Road, the address is passed me by just now, but then from 9 to 11 o'clock on this Saturday, we're trying to address the issue. So we got to get the people to unite. It's a joint effort that we actually have to attack the problems in Terrebonne Parish.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, you can't arrest your way out of a drug situation. You also can't ignore it. You can't just let it go, because then you got a bunch of different things that could really escalate. So we don't want to see that in the community for sure. So John, District 4, you're the chairman as well as from the council, but District 4, a lot of projects happening with you as well.
Well, we have a lot of things we're looking at, some things that are going on that really affect more than just my district, but they're really important for the Schriever area, the Gray area. Carly and I share a lot of those areas, so it really works together. A new pumping station that's being built behind the Rouses helps us as well as CJ in his area. But yeah, we can put up some slides. I'll tell you a little bit of what I'm looking at and what's kind of important to me. So one of the issues a couple of years back, it actually started in the Claudette administration, over the Schriever overpass. It's a state highway, but the parish has an agreement that we take care of the lights. And the lights were ineffective, so we
There were a
put,
lot of them, yeah.
yeah, we put together a project, and of course, you know, the state wants to be difficult. You had to get an engineer to sign off on each individual light. But finally, the project got done, but now we've discovered another problem, and that's a wiring issue. Every time we try to light the north side of the overpass, they get a short. So I have the utilities director putting together some numbers to propose a project to correct the wiring on that. This is an overview shot. If they could switch to the next slide, you can see a close-up of these lights. There's some nice LED lights. After the storm, there was a defect in them, turned them purple, which I really didn't mind, but we got that straight.
We thought that was a feature, not a bug.
Absolutely. And I was wondering what other colors they could turn it to.
Right.
But so that's one thing that, you know, the overpass is technically in Corlee's district because of the way the districts are drawn, but it's always been a passion in my family to get that done because my wife grew up watching that be built. She lived right across from it. And then if we can move to the next slide, this is actually Bayou Terrebonne in the Schriever area. We already have a project, just so the citizens know, to dredge Bayou Terrebonne from the Intercoastal Canal all the way to Thibodaux. Right now they're trying to get some land use rights to get the equipment in and out of the canal. It's a project that was actually being done in the past that sat dormant for a while, and Parish President Dove and I had talked about it, and he went looking and found that the money was still there, and we'll have to add a little bit more to it. But we really want to come in and get this dredged. Ida kind of put it on hold a little bit because a lot of trees fell in, and FEMA wanted, you know, to do a project to clear those trees out. But now it's time.
They did that though, right?
They did. Yeah.
They cleared.
So now they're getting all geared up to do that. And we want, you know, there's going to be a pump station down by the hospital. We're looking at ways to keep that Bayou Terrebonne section really vital to the community so they can use it like it was when we were growing up. And they're going to put a pump station there that's going to help to retain that water in the bayou, and when needed, it can pump it back out.
Right. And in that way, you can have water all the way, as you say, from Thibodaux all the way down.
Yeah, sometimes, especially with this drought this summer, I could have got my push mower down there and cut it.
Right.
So we can go to another slide. And this is Clawson Drive. This is St. Louis Bayou. This drains all the way from Audubon and Thibodaux to the pump stations on Coteau Road at the Intracoastal. This is a section of low area. We had a buyout program several years back where the homeowners were able to sell their properties because of a flooding issue there. So we have a drag line, a marsh buggy in there, clearing this section out. We did a joint venture with the North Lafourche Levee District. They cleared up to the train trestles, and we're taking from the train trestles over toward behind Hedgeford through the New Isle Indian Project. And I'm looking to have them continue that even further through Coteau so that bayou can drain the way that that it needs to be. Now, this is right behind the post office in Schriever. If you're not familiar, it's Fred LaBeouf subdivision.
They didn't have any fires this summer there.
Not-
That was on the other side.
That was on the other side, yeah. If we can go to the next slide. So one of the issues I've been having is St. George. We've got a lot of flooding between main project and back project. And this is a drainage ditch that runs all the way back to the canal going to the pump station. We looked at widening it. We've got the approval from the landowner to be able to widen it. But what we discovered on the next slide, you can see a culvert that was put in place. And this culvert's not big enough to carry enough water to get into that section. So we've been talking about what we need to do to get more water across. We've done some things, changing some culvert sizes to move some to a different drainage ditch, but we need to do a capital project here to be able to get that water across, because whenever we have these heavy rains, all the property owners in that section have several inches of water in their yards, and we definitely don't want them to get into the homes.
The St. George back project, that's on the other side of 311 on St. George?
Yes,
Oh, I got you. Going back towards where the landfill is.
right.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep, exactly. So what we got next is shoulders. This is something when Beryl was on the council, she pushed for, and I'm continuing to push for. This is right where 311 becomes main project. You can see the shoulders stop right there where the state highway stops.
right.
And I'd like to see this continued all the way to Highway 20, because it's a safety factor.
It is a safety.
There's a lot of people living on the road there that when cars, run off onto the shoulder, they kind of jerk back and they end up in someone's front yard. There's a lot of mailboxes there that the people are nervous crossing the street to check their mailboxes because of cars having these issues. The next slide shows another section of it where it's, gravel or grass. And so as a public safety thing, now we can get this done, and it'll also benefit the bicycle riders, because
Sure.
then they can take on 311 and just
the whole
shoot
way.
straight back to Highway 20 without having to go up to 24. So I'm trying to get creative where I could find some money, if I can tie it into a bike trail or whatever we can do.
Right.
Get some of our federal tax dollars to pay for this. So what else we got? All right, this is right behind the Rouses at Martin Luther King and Savannah. This is one of the projects, a pump station that's going to be pumping water into the retention area, which is that Shell donated property. And the whole purpose here, that's on Bayou Cane. So it helps CJ out, it helps Carly out, it helps me, because it's also going to relieve some of the pressure on Bayou Terrebonne. And the whole design is to pump this water into this retention area and then reintroduce it slower. So we're going to have a lot of capacity there to load up that water, and then we're not hurting anything downstream of us.
Right.
Because if all of Thibodaux, people don't realize we drain Thibodaux and parts of Assumption Parish, and if we don't have anywhere for that water to slow down, then it all gets dumped on the lower communities.
Right.
So this will really ease in and give some benefit.
That was a donation, I think, right?
Shell
That
donated the
land,
property,
and
yes, absolutely,
That's
to
a
the
great way
parish.
to do it in a green way too. You're not digging a bunch of things, you're not
Right.
pumping it somewhere else.
And
You can
with
kinda
those
disperse
marsh
it.
fires, that's where those marsh fires were.
Right.
So if we can keep that wet, then we can prevent those fires from
Real
happening.
good solution is to have a place like that to
If you
go.
also look at that, there was a lot of pumps, levee work done on our coastline. And so now these projects with these reservoirs, these extra pumps, clearing Bayou Terrebonne, the lateral ditches. So we're working on how to retain the water. We have less damage because CJ, my district is with Shell, yours also, Clyde Hamner. So all those folk that live in these districts that we represent, they may not see it because it's nothing you can eat, nothing you can drink, and nothing. But then we are also going down with the lateral ditch concerns and the lilies in the bayou. But so I must say that we're trying to work on the insurance problem.
Yep.
And we have an insurance problem that we all are trying to address.
We all know
with it.
too well.
But all of that being said, you know, I mean, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So
We do.
Yeah, we got a lot of work.
We do. So yeah, it'll be something to keep track of. We got a couple lawsuits when you talk about when insurance, and we'll see what goes on there. But just personally, zero, not a flood zone to 8,000 a year. So yeah, it's a real problem. Well, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Next Monday and Wednesday for you guys, right?
Yes.
The meetings. So appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. See you next time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.